Hello, everyone. Welcome to another podcast by upGrowth. We are doing this series with industry leaders and founders to know more about their stories. Why did they start what they are doing? What is their motivation? And with the objective to learn from them. My name is Bhaskar. I am the co-founder of upGrowth. upGrowth is a growth marketing company, and we work with organizations of various sizes and help them get to the next stage of growth or wherever they are in their in their journeys. So, having said that, having introduced upGrowth, let me talk about my guest today. Our guest today is a veteran of the internet and content space. And in his current initiative, he's working on creating a more inclusive internet by enabling content and conversations that are free of biases. Now, what does that mean? Just hold on, and we'll come to that. Let me formally introduce our guest. Welcome, Kesavan from iShield.ai.
Thank you. Thank you. Glad to be here, Bhaskar.
Thank you so much for taking out time for us. And of course, we are fortunate to work with you, and that gives us a very interesting perspective into what you are doing. So, Kesavan has an extensive experience in media and technology industries, and he specializes in creating and designing software for online communities, commerce, and content. Basically, in one word, if I have to put it, the internet. He oversaw the introduction of Amazon Prime Video in India and served as the managing director of Symphony Talent for Asia Pacific. He's a pioneer in streaming and OTT. He has created video platforms for important international sporting events like the Olympics, World Cup of cricket and football. Now, he's working on iShield.ai, and one of the products is getdost.com. It's an AI assistant for inclusive brand and organizational communication. To put it in very simple terms, and we will get into the details, and I'll let Kesavan share the details. But to put it in very simple terms, how does an organization communicate? What words they choose internally and externally? That's what getdost.com is all about. So Kesavan has integrated his experience in online content, marketing technologies, talent management, and software for getdost.com and iShield.ai. He serves as the co-founder and the CEO of the company. His goal is to make online places safe, inclusive, and more humane for the future generation. He is a father of twins, and he has seen how everyone's life have gone online for work and studies. Kesavan studied applied statistics and computer science at IIT Bombay. So welcome, Kesavan, again.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Yeah. So I think, Kesavan, if I'm right, you kind of were not a digital native, but you kind of brought the change, and you saw the change in your career, where people from analog kind of world to a world where children are born with two devices. So walk us through your career graph.
When I graduated, that was also the early days of the internet. So we had the .com bubble that burst. So when the .com bubble was in full swing, like many people from my college, IIT Bombay, I and my classmates started a company, and we were stretching the boundaries of what's possible on the internet. We wanted to do software for online events. And really, the software for online events became a reality 25 years down the line. So that's how long the infrastructure and the basic components and the necessity of the market arose because of the pandemic. Then I was a software engineer. I was learning a lot of stuff. Understand that these were the days when we as a software engineering community were also getting used to working with global organizations. We were also getting used to what does it mean to be a global citizen. We were trying to, we were traveling abroad. These were all first. I mean, today it might be the norm, but there was a lot to learn about not only about technology. We could do the work, but it was more around our customers, where they live, their contexts, and how can we solve our problems for them using technology, right? So basically, I was exploring. I learned a lot in the first 10 years, but I always imagined that I will be running companies, right? And I also had this notion, and this could probably be again, these were in 2007, 2008. It's also a rarity to see an engineer become the CEO. I mean, it's now a norm, but it was not then. Yeah. So I had this notion that if you need to be a CEO, then you need to do sales. So I quit my very cozy job, and I knew somebody in a startup in the media space, and I said that I will do sales. And I was a software engineer who said I'll do sales. I was asked many questions, but ultimately I said that, look, I'll not take any salary. Let me do it. Right? So, of course, that worked. So I was hired. I was in UK at that time, but in a span of 3 years, I was so super successful that between 2007 to 2010, I was able to get a lot of marquee media and entertainment class customers to our business. We were helping them digitize their libraries, build their video on demand portals. I worked with sporting companies, football clubs, a lot of them. And essentially, we were tinkering around the technology to get them to deliver. These were also early days for YouTube in India. Yeah. So in 2009, 2010, we had the World Cup T20 happen in India. And that was the time when also BCCI in India wanted, and also whoever had the rights at that time, I think Times Internet, it was Star TV, sorry, it was called ESPNstar.com. They had the digital rights and they wanted to do live streaming. And I was one of the very few people in the country who knew about digital content and digital content delivery. So I relocated to India to actually do live streaming for that World Cup, right? Interesting. These were also the days when we didn't have CDN. We didn't have ad delivery networks. So they were all just entering the country. So literally we had to put solutions that were not proven at India scale, but we had to literally put those solutions. We didn't have cloud. Our application was hosted on a server, client server application. But we learned a lot. So what that meant was it opened a lot of doors for building these video on demand and OTT applications for major brands. I think every single network in India, I would have delivered software or a service to them through our startup. And then, from then it was, I didn't have to look back. One led to another, and then we grew, and my career also grew. And I built an expertise in content, in the overall internet and internet delivery of content space, right? That's also what took me to Amazon. Yeah. And Amazon was looking at launching Amazon Prime Video in India, and I went there and set up the whole the Prime Video team in Bangalore. So that's been my journey. So from 2007, I have always been in 0 to 1 spaces. And so the process of creation, I love that. And I've stuck to that. Even in large companies, I look for opportunities where I could do 0 to 1. So that's a brief around how my career progressed.
Pretty interesting. Thanks. And I can see two points. Like probably we started our careers at the same time, and around .com burst is when we started. Our goal was like, so we were 4 of us, 3 folks from IIT Delhi, and I had done my MBA. So we thought that we want to do something in digital space, basically tech space, not digital. So the idea was to set up a software company, but with the .com burst, we could not get any projects. Like that was the model at that point in time. So we probably set up India's first e-learning company. It's called WizLabs.
Yeah.
And so we were NASCOM emerged. So around the same time, so we kind of dabbled into e-learning. And as you said, online delivery of content came after 25 years. So was the case with e-learning. And around 2010, again, I did a few startups between WizLabs. And in 2010, I started something called World Without Me, which was essentially a digital vault to keep all your digital assets, your insurances, etc. So that was another turning point for me. So at times I feel I had the early mover disadvantage. Did you ever feel like that in your career?
Every startup is like that. Because even today, I feel that in iShield, when I talk to either investors or customers, it actually, the early mover disadvantage syndrome it depends upon who you're talking to. If you're talking to customers, then probably not, because you will get instant feedback in terms of the need or the necessity of what you're building. But if you're talking to investors, then most probably the answer is yes. And also you will get that validation when they say, let's wait a little bit more, let's see some traction. So when you hear that answer, then you can say that you are a victim of an early mover, disadvantage. I do face in every startup, but customers actually are far more intelligent. They know their need. And if they know that we can fulfill their need for today and possibly tomorrow, I think there are enough customers who are willing to take a bet on you. So that's what I believe that we should focus on. And you might probably face less early mover disadvantage syndrome. Even in 99, when we were building that software, if we really managed to build that software, and there was no infrastructure to support that, but I think there were customers who were willing to take a shot at it. So, so that's my short answer to the early mover disadvantage. Depends upon who you're talking to.
Completely agree. Now jumping forward to Amazon. Now, with this lockdown, Amazon Prime, Netflix, especially a lot of Indian content. So walk us through your journey, and especially, did you foresee this happening? Like when Amazon Prime, you were working on launching Amazon Prime in India. What was the vision, and how did it all come together?
Yeah. Amazon doesn't think small. So I think that the pandemic has only accelerated their vision, but Amazon has always is always ambitious and has always been ambitious to be the number one destination for online content. And they think at India scale, which is they really want to give the software to the 130 billion people. So the vision has not changed, and think big is one of the leadership principles at Amazon. So now I think that ambition has always been there. All that the pandemic did was to accelerate the journey and bring forward the plans by a few years. That's all what I think the pandemic has done. There was always signs that people will consume more and more content online, so I think that pandemic played a role, but just a role of a catalyst. It really didn't alter the vision. The vision has always been there to be at India scale. Mm-hmm. So that's on the vision. What was the second part of your question?
That was the vision part. And the second part of the question was, how did it all happen? How did Amazon Prime Video happen in India? The process and...
Luckily for companies like Amazon, there is a set process driven by their working backwards principles. I think that it started with an ambition to go global. And Amazon was looking at launching globally in various countries. And India was an untapped market at that point in time. So from there on, it's a question of, how do you localize for the country? And when you say localize, there are aspects about content, there are aspects about marketing, and there are aspects about technology that need to be localized. And then there are certain elements that are always global. So Amazon has a wonderful process. So it goes through the same process irrespective of what business it is. You do your PR FAQ, they call it, or a press release and frequently asked questions. It's a 6-pager. It goes through multiple rounds of review. And then, that's how any plan gets approved. That's how any business gets started. So Amazon Prime Video, from that sense, is not any different than how any other business is launched within Amazon. The elements that Amazon really needed to work hard was to build relationships with content creators and content studios from a localization perspective, learn very quickly in terms of the local promotion and marketing, also localize the technology for India in terms of bandwidth supported or network or hosting, storage, content delivery itself. So those are some of the areas where innovation had to happen. And I think Amazon invested heavily to make sure that. So if you look at the Amazon Prime Video experience, I think that it's seamless, right? From day one. So that's just the design. That's how things are done at Amazon. So that's what I would say. They followed a template like they would for any other business. So there is really no other. They have a magic pill in the way they work, which is working backwards, and that magic pill works all the time. I'm a big fan of it.
Absolutely. We've heard and read about the PR 6-pager that you mentioned.
Yeah.
So when did you start thinking about your current venture? Was it, and when did transition happen from Amazon to iShield?
In between Amazon and iShield, I had another startup stint with Symphony Talent. I set up their whole APAC division. It is broadly in the HR tech space, but it's a marketing technology product. So around very early days of the pandemic is when I wanted to set my own company and work on it, right? And my experience has always been in content, online content delivery. So broadly, I knew that is the space in which I wanted to build tech products. What really happened was I have twins and a daughter and son. And at school, their teacher, they are in the same class, and their teacher essentially said something as simple as, mother is making pasta at home and father is working in the office, something like that, right? Which is nothing but a stereotype. That was in their math textbook, I think. So my daughter came home fuming, and she said that, why is that acceptable, right? Wow. Why can't it be the other way around? Now, that got me thinking, but it's not like, that was an aha moment, but at the same time, it got me thinking over 12 months. I mean, it just kept coming back to me saying that not only in education, but at work, how many stereotypes we propagate in the words we use and what we say. You do a user design document and the user is stereotyped, right? If the user is a software engineer, then of course it will be a male XYZ, right? Yeah. So I just got thinking in terms of why are brands not doing enough to look at their content, because my daughter is going to go to work at some point in time, and if these stereotypes still exist in the way we communicate, in the words we use, and representation matters. So I felt that we could make it a better world. So it is a journey. It started. The trigger point was the question that my daughter asked, but it took me time to narrow it down to saying, okay, what are the problems that really people care for that we need to solve? And people care for building a diverse workforce. People care for building an inclusive work culture in the company, right? People care for reaching out through their marketing campaigns to diverse audiences, right? Brands care for, not hurting the sentiments of people due to unconscious bias. People care for these problems. Traditionally, what people do is to, ask your friend to review what you have written. Yeah. And that may or may not work. And I felt that we could actually build a technology to solve that problem. There is also another thing that also caught up. I don't think we could have built this technology 5 years ago because of just where AI was in terms of AI evolution itself. So it's a good, happy coincidence that we have AI at a state of maturity where we can realistically build these tech products and solve at scale. And also there is a greater recognition in companies around investing in diversity and inclusion. So when these things came together, I felt that I need to commit myself to building a tech solution in this space. So that's been the journey. It took me 12 months to land where I landed before we even did something.
Sure. And how old was your daughter and your twins when she mentioned this?
She was 8.
Oh, so she should be around 11 now.
Yeah. Oh. She'll be 11 in December. Yeah.
11 in December. Great. Wow. Pretty interesting. Not an aha moment, but a catalyst.
It's a catalyst. It's a trigger. To me, that's a trigger. And certain triggers, they keep coming back to you, right? I mean, it doesn't go away. So it was there always. And then somehow you see a YouTube video, you see something, and then you spot something in there, then the whole point reiterates, right? You see an advertisement, and then you don't connect. Like recently you had Flipkart send a tweet on Women's Day, which said that this Women's Day, let's celebrate you, buy kitchen appliances from $299, right?
So
correct. So when you keep seeing these things happening, it just reiterates, and then you keep coming back to saying that I need to solve this. I can help people write better content with the help of technology. That's been the journey.
Yeah, so that's pretty interesting what you brought up. So that takes me to my next question. Like you mentioned about Flipkart mentioning this Women's Day, kitchen, correlating things. What are the other ways organizations today, mostly digital organizations and all kinds of organizations, can benefit from your technology?
Yeah. So in any company who is focused on building a diverse workforce, right, and an inclusive culture, one of the things is communications is the backbone. of any culture that you want to build or who you want to attract. I'm using the word communications in a broad sense. This could be a job description. This could be a marketing copy. This could be your career website content. This could be a YouTube video that you're launching. This could be an interview, or it could be a chat message that you send on Slack or Teams that you use internally. When you are committed to building an inclusive organization, then you also you also need to establish certain standards or protocols in the way you communicate. These could be the words and phrases that you use or you don't use. Especially this is more severe if you're a global company, because you also don't know the nuances of all the geographies that you operate. So what we do is we give our app basically works inside the enterprise application that you use for work. And this could be an applicant tracking system that you use, or this could be Slack, this could be a CRM product. These are the tools that you're using day to day in your company. And our app actually works inside that and helps you with real-time feedback. This is like, you're probably used to something like Grammarly, which helps you with grammar corrections.
Yeah.
And we help you with inclusive language corrections. That's how it works. So we are focused on communications, and we are focused on all the use cases of inclusion. This could be gender, race, religion, age, ableism categories.
Super. That's interesting. So I'll be honest over here. When I was growing up, we were not exposed to diversity. Let me be, and probably we had biases, but we never knew. And that these are biases. Those were so natural to us. The way we communicated with friends, the way we spoke about someone. This is before we started working. And even in the first 10 years of working, not much changed. Like, it was only after internet and exposure to the world, you started realizing what diversity is. And, though I studied in a very good school, but yeah, that was what it was. So now, how does it help a person like me, like who was not a digital native, who was used to kind of, as you put it, like subconscious biases, but now you realize, like, how does it help a person like me?
Yeah. So there are two aspects about what we learn from our customers, right? One is everyone has biases. It's just the process of learning. As you learn, you also learn the biases. That's how it is. But along with how we have evolved as society from a small village or a small tribe or a group of people or a homogeneous group of people to a village to probably a city, now global citizens, your need to communicate to diverse population has only increased. That's the realization, right? When you studied, your worldview was probably limited to your town or a city or wherever that you went to. But as you started working, your worldview or the context has changed. Now, as an entrepreneur, your context has changed. As a global citizen connected to the internet, your context has changed. So the need to connect to different people more authentically has evolved. So that's the one aspect about why 20 years ago certain things were okay and why it is not okay today. Yeah. Right? It's just the way things evolve. The second aspect that we learn is that even though you have biases, a lot of people, or a significant majority of people, have no intention to hurt the other person, right? What it means is that if somebody told you that a phrase or a word or an expression that you use or a joke that you made is hurtful, then we have realized that almost 95% of people are more than willing to make corrections.
Sure.
Right? You crack a certain joke because you don't know that this could actually be hurtful to some people. So that's the second aspect around this. The third aspect is that no individual really will know what does it mean to be inclusive, 100%, right? So you can only be more inclusive than what you were yesterday. You can never be 100% inclusive. But how can you be more inclusive if the context in which you're operating is changing? So for example, if your context is your home, then it's a very small subset of people. So you might know everybody in person, you might know their context, and you'll probably be as inclusive as you would be. But if your context is global, then there is realistically no way that you will know everything about different contexts for you to be inclusive. And that's where technology can help. Let's say you're launching a marketing campaign, in Mexico. Then, what options do you have? You will think that I'll go and ask somebody in Mexico. But what you don't know is that consistent? Is that okay? It depends upon who you ask.
Yeah.
And not everybody may have access to such people, right? Yeah. That is where I think technology can truly play a role in helping individuals to use language or representation that is authentic of the context where you are launching. So if it's a job description that is being promoted in Bangalore, and you have an image of people who are not representative of any person in India, right? Then that may not be okay.
Yeah.
This happened, right? Recently, there was an advertisement of, I think, toothpaste or some dental product where all the advertisement was shot with non-Indian actors, and the authorities pulled up that ad and asked them to take it down because they were propagating it as a medical product without any person from India endorsing it. So that's a good example of how technology can actually also give you the same feedback, saying this may not be okay.
Great. So that's kind of very well put. And yeah, unconscious or subconscious, like you use words, and probably same word has so many meanings in different contexts in different countries. And
yes,
how do you kind of it's very difficult. I think it's more important than correcting the grammar to correct the context. Like I'm now thinking of it, like you can get away with bad grammar, but if the context is bad, probably.
Absolutely. That I think is the opportunity for a product like ours, right? You can get away with bad grammar, but probably not with non-inclusive language or something that's out of sync.
Absolutely. So who are your current customers, and what's the sweet spot? Like which kind of organizations for iShield?
So for us, our target is a diversity and inclusion leader in medium to large companies. Our product, the AI that we built, works in English language. So I will say that all English-speaking companies in all English-speaking countries, or where English is the medium of business, is potentially a target geography for us. And also, there needs to be a commitment from the organization towards diversity. And that a good indication of that commitment is they have recruited a diversity and inclusion leader, right? So if there is a company who's recruited a diversity and inclusion leader, then that becomes an automatic target for us, right? So today, and we have integrated with a few applicant tracking systems. We are available on Lever applicant tracking system. We have Symphony Talent as one of our clients, and we are integrated with Symphony Talent. We are available on Slack. We are available on Microsoft Teams. And there are, we had a soft launch in February. We have 5 customers. We are coming up with a full public launch in September at HR Tech in Las Vegas. So that will be the full public launch of our product.
Super. So all the best for the launch at the Chart Tech.
Thank you.
One last question. Where do you see, how do you see this entire space evolving, and especially iShield leading this space?
Yeah. See, there is a new category of softwares that's emerging that's called the diversity, equity, and inclusion software space.
Okay.
And this is growing rapidly at almost 100% year on year. So, as we were saying earlier, our promise is that you can get away with grammar, bad grammar, but you cannot get away with a bad representation of people or non-inclusive representation of people, right? You can't get away with toxicity, biases. So we believe that our product will be available in every single communication software that a company uses. And they get real-time feedback in a very non-intrusive, simple way, where they can make corrections to their communications and they can send it out, whether it is for internal or external. So every single enterprise is going to be our customer. Every single, and will be available in every single enterprise software, whether it is for customer care or marketing or talent acquisition or communications, right? That's our ambition. That's our goal. It's a audacious goal, but I think that we have a clear shot. We have a clear opportunity, and we can take a shot at it.
Great. Thank you for sharing your experience, and I'm sure with the kind of experience you have on around content, internet, and the vision of making the communication more inclusive, we are going to see much more from iShield moving forward.
Thank you.
All the best for the rest of this year, your public launch, and for 2023.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Bhaskar. And you will also be part of that success. So I'm super excited.
Thank you so much. We are very excited to be a part.